Driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's Driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Deck. I am your host, Josh Decker. Thrilled to be joined today by Austin Peckham, an entrepreneur, a storyteller. Your work spans film, photography, dabbled in some music. I thoroughly enjoyed reading over your biography the past couple of days just to prepare for our time this evening. And then starting to get into golf and all the things. Austin, How are you?
I'm great, dude. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. Excited about chatting with you tonight. Looking at everything just about your life, and I watched your video on your website. Of course, we met a year or two ago at an event at Sweetens Cove that you were shooting. Tell me how you ended up. Where did you grow up? And then, like these stories we hear so often, that you chased the dream to move to Nashville to pursue a musical career. I would love to hear the background on that.
Well, it's obviously a incredibly long, drawn out story, but the short of it, which I think, like, when I look back to my life in growing up, I think it all kind of led, and all the pieces of the puzzle kind of led to where I am. So I was born in Gulfport, Mississippi. My dad was a project manager for the chemical company DuPont. So every time they started a new plant somewhere, basically my family would move. So they were in Canada, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Texas, Mississippi, Louisville, like all over the place. So kind of popped around as a kid, but I spent most of my childhood in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Technically a small town in Indiana. So went to high school, played high school golf, went and played half a semester at University of Southern Indiana. And I was going to school. I have a bachelor's degree in food science. So
okay.
nothing remotely close to anything I've ever done.
What was the plan? What was the plan with food science? Like, what was, when you were signing up for those classes, here's what we're going to do after school. What was that plan?
I was going to be a dietitian.
Okay.
And the goal was to work with, so I was going to be a perinatal dietitian. So I was going to work with women pre, during, post pregnancy. That was my passion. And that spurred because my sister, just at that time in my life, my middle sister, I have 3 older sisters. My middle sister was pregnant and I was just kind of inspired. I'd helped her a little bit, and that kind of led my path into that specialty. So the last 2 or so years of college, I started playing acoustic guitar. I started playing all around the bars in our town in Evansville. And I was getting paid to play acoustic shows. And it's actually where I met my wife at playing a show at a bar. And
was she totally fangirling and just like, oh my gosh, Austin, you're the best, and would come to all your shows? Or was it a pure happenstance meeting?
It was pure happenstance. I mean, honestly, dude, nobody cares about the guy that's playing you're like background noise in college bars like that. But just happenstance, and we met, and that was history. But the kind of the turning point in my life was, I was probably a few months out from graduation. I had this plan of going into dietetics, and just got the feeling that I was supposed to move to Nashville and pursue being a country artist. And I remember telling my parents, and my parents really don't have any reason to be this awesome, but especially, and I'm very, very fortunate. My parents were able to help with my college, so I didn't leave with a big debt over my head, which is another just incredible blessing in my life. But I said, I'm going to throw all this away that you just paid for, and I'm going to move to Nashville, and I'm going to be a country artist. So I moved here, did it for a few months, and I really never did it long enough to find out whether or not it was possible, because I didn't have a job. So I had this like $200 Nikon camera, and it shot 720p. So it didn't even shoot full HD. And this was 2017. So I had this camera. I started shooting videos for my buddies, just like songwriter friends that I would meet. And they started telling their friends, and friends started telling friends. And that led to the first like legit job I ever had was shooting some stuff for the last Glenn Campbell album. And
Wow.
yeah, no, crazy. And what's
that's a big deal.
You'll learn in this in our time together tonight. I'm a big believer. I think that God has had a really incredible plan for my life, and I still don't really know exactly what it is, but some of the things that have happened in my life are just really wild. So the first thing that I ever did in the music industry really was this stuff for Glenn Campbell. So it came out on Rolling Stone. I think it was Washington Post or New York Times or something. And I was like, holy crap, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So then a couple weeks later, I shot a music video for a girl. It premiered on CMT, and I was like,
I mean, I've got chills. Yeah, it's like
I know.
there are times when the Lord does things and he just points you in a direction and you're like, oh, yep, okay, there's like a big flashing red sign right in front of your face. Oh, yes, okay, thank you for putting me where I'm supposed to be. And it was all because you took the chance on becoming the next Garth Brooks, which and then picked up a camera. I love that. So sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it's just it's cool how it works.
Next thing, I remember texting my best friend Chase, and I was sending him business names, and I came up with the name Create Nash, and I was like, "There's no way that in a town that's been creating stuff for this long, this is available." But sure enough, Facebook, Instagram, the domain, the LLC, everything was available. So I started this business, and fast forward, 3 to 5 years. I can't remember how long it was, but did it for a long time. I directed multiple #1 country song music videos, #1 Christian music videos. I did a song that the video didn't win a Grammy, but I shot the video for a Grammy Award winning gospel song, and just like had this crazy career in the music world. Ended up having investors come into the business, and that kind of is where things went a little south, and we just didn't see eye to eye in what we were doing. So I left that company that I started and just was in this kind of like lull of life. My wife was selling real estate. She was doing really well. COVID came. That was weird for everybody. We had a miscarriage in 2018, or no, not 2018. That would have been like 21. Bought an RV, traveled the country for 10 months. We were just like, screw it. We're done. We're getting out of here. We rented our house, bought an RV, came back, and I'm like, okay, now what? We get pregnant with our now daughter, and I am just thinking to myself, like, what am I supposed to do? And just praying through it, and it kind of just came to me that I needed to be creating again, and where could what industry would I want to do this in? And I've played golf since I could walk, and I'm obsessed with this game just like you are. And was like, no, what better place to create than the golf industry? And that's kind of what led me to where I am today.
Well, that's fascinating because you lived a life in an industry that people dream of, and you were doing it at what age did you shoot these videos that were #1 hits, the music videos? How old were you?
I was 24.
That's incredible. So like there are people that like strive for that like their entire lives, and here you are behind a camera at 24 and already knocking it out of the park with #1 songs and doing those music videos. That's incredible. So
I know.
Let's go back to the golf now. The playing golf your entire life, it sounds like you lived kind of the life of a military brat, of all over the place, in and out of
Mhm.
schools. What, when you think about golf growing up and what that was like, moving all over the country, what are the memories? I guess Louisville, or not Louisville, but Evansville became home. What are the memories that stand out from golf as a child, moving all over the place?
Well, so, and I'll preface. So most of my moving personally was when I was really young. So
Okay.
I was really the fortunate one of my four or three other siblings that my life wasn't affected a ton because I got to spend a majority of it in the Louisville area. But golf was the first thing that gave me a sense of community and a sense of belonging to something. And I mean, those guys, you play a little bit in middle school and it's kind of like whatever, but you get into high school and you're on this team with, you're a freshman, you've got seniors and juniors, and you've got the guys that have recently graduated, and you're kind of just like, you enter into this family of all these guys. And then you go 4 years through high school with your teammates and you experience a ton of life together. I mean, you do stupid stuff together, you learn lessons together, you get in trouble together. I mean, it's just all the different things. So I think that was like, my golf was the first thing that ever brought me into community.
And so that's what you were seeking once you decided to settle back down and get back into creative, was golf?
Yeah, well, ask that one more time, Josh.
So once you got back from the RV trip and were like, okay, I got to get back into being creative. That's clearly the path that I've been sent on. It was like, I have this passion for golf. You said you played collegiately for a year or two. And so then, yeah, like I can see how that's the obvious, like, let's do this. Now, I do want to back up a little bit. Explain how we got from picking up a camera that didn't even shoot HD to shooting music videos. Like, I need to know more about that path, because it still fascinates me that uh, you've moved to Nashville with a guitar and are going to sing and songwrite, and then pick up a camera and start shooting. And next thing you know, you're heavily involved in the production industry for music videos and whatnot. How did that meteoric rise occur?
So, I mean, I have memories of shooting photos around my neighborhood with the original iPhone. Um, so I know that I've always had a desire to take photos or be creative. But then, I mean, dude, like, the first stuff I ever did, it was just a camera sitting on a tripod, and I can't even remember if it was framed correctly or if, like, where the person was in the shot. And I mean, I shot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. Like, because at first I did everything for free. I mean, it was just all my buddies and their friends. And at the very most, I would make like $50 doing a thing for a couple hours. Um, and really, what you do this one very small thing hundreds of times, and then that Glenn Campbell thing that paid me enough money to buy a new camera. So I went.
That's
I
wild.
basically took the $3,000 that paid, and I bought the Sony A7S II, and that was like the best DSLR video camera that you could buy in 2018, and just started shooting a ton of videos with that. And then, you get your first opportunity where a label or someone says, okay, we have $5,000 for this project. And you're like, holy crap, $5,000 is a ton of money. But I made the decision for like project after project after project to either rent a better camera or bring on crew. I mean, I would get 5, 10, 15, $20,000 budgets, and Emily would get so mad at me, and I would spend
that's your better half.
yeah,
Okay.
but I would spend like 90% of the budget on the product, and would hardly ever, like, I could have made so much more money at that time, but I just put it into cameras and gear and people, and was able to learn. Like, I basically forced myself into high level, high budget production without having the budget for it necessarily. So I would rent the Alexa Minis, the Reds, the cinema cameras, the big lenses and the rigs and all that stuff. And I would bring in Steadicam operators and big things that made productions look really, really big when technically, like, budget wise, they weren't. And I just forced myself into it and learned as I was doing it.
And so were you just picking up the phone and calling people, calling and asking anybody and everybody that you knew had some knowledge of how to work those systems to come and be part of your crew?
Yeah, I mean, kind of that. And I think, my circle grew organically. There's, one or two guys in particular that I started to do every single project with. And one of them, his name was Troy. He ended up really getting into AC, which is assistant camera. So that's someone who like controls focus. They make sure that camera settings are right. They check memory cards. They're like kind of like the technical person. And then the other guy, Dalton, he was like really getting into being the director of photography. So he was learning lighting. And then there's another guy named Bennett who did the same thing and like just started to build these relationships with these people. And we did like every single project together. And I was always director, writing, kind of like the creative behind it, and I was able to surround myself with just really, really awesome people that wanted to learn and wanted to make really awesome stuff.
That's really cool. So among all the recognitions that you received, being a Rolling Stone, the Dove Award nomination, those recognitions, what do they mean to you personally and professionally?
I used to have like #1 plaques and some of these things around me and stuff like that, and I used to put a lot of like weight and identity into them. um it's something that I definitely have, I say, overcome. It's not a bad thing to be proud of the things that you've done and accomplished. But I I think my biggest sense of pride is just looking isn't the awards or accolades. When I look back at projects, I'll still like every 6 months I find myself on YouTube and just like looking back through stuff I've done and watching music videos and whatever else, because I can put myself into those rooms and I can remember where the lights were and who was there and how it all happened. I think the most pride I get is just being able to look back and remember those projects and who I was with and who did it with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, because it's the people around you, right? And like you said, the plaques and the awards are great, but it's the relationships, and you rattling off those three names of the guys that you worked so closely alongside. I mean, that's really, really cool. Um, so now fast forward to today.
Mhm.
Your website's fantastic. The imagery's not even, I'm not surprised that it's beautiful. Working with
Thanks.
brands and how all the different I guess voices that are in the room when you're working with a brand, what is that like? Because I'm a sales guy. I go into a room, I sell something, and that's that. And I don't have all these different other opinions coming in. And you're the one looking through the lens, right? How do you
Mhm.
manage the different? Because you know what the shot needs to look like. But you might have, I guess it's either White Claw or Barnes and Noble, or could be the Range Goats. I love that you shot for the Range Goats, and they're telling you what they want, but you
Mhm.
know what's going to be most aesthetically pleasing to the eye. How does that dialogue flow and go back and forth?
So that's a really, really interesting question. And I feel like I've been in like the creative industry long enough to see it change a little bit. And I remember, um, like I remember working with White Claw and with Barnes and Noble and some stuff with Ram trucks. And I remember getting, they'll send brand guidelines and all of the things to make sure that people are aligned on what the project is. And I feel like what has changed, which is really, really cool, is that brands and people, while still like, your huge, massive brands, they're still very on brand and making sure that everything looks like their brand. But with everything going to social and it being such like a creator culture, um, people's styles and how they work and what their work looks like, because like you and I, we're both good friends with Jeff Marsh, um, and who's a incredible award-winning golf course and other photographer. But like Jeff and I's work will never look the same. And there's so many other people, especially in the golf industry, like we're able to work with brands and bring our like there's become a more welcoming environment to people's individual work and not just always on brand. At least like how things look aesthetically.
Yes. Okay. So they allow you to incorporate your artistic strategy into it. So it's, you know, Austin, we've hired you, go do what we've hired you to do because we've seen all your work. We know how you're going to operate. So let you be you, which that's actually refreshing to hear. I imagined there was a much heavier thumb on the scale and that they would be more like a dictator when it comes to what that process looks like. So that's actually great to hear.
Yeah, and I think again, like I think big brands are still going to be really hard on that. But I believe that people come and they want to work with me because they like my work and they like how things look and they like my brain and how I think and operate and all of those things. So I've been, and maybe my experience might not be everyone's experience. But so far I'm either able to be me and create for the most part how I want, or I'm actually helping shape a brand's look and creating the guidelines and doing all that stuff, which is really fun because then the brand kind of becomes almost a representation of me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, and while we're talking about this, I can't help but think about like the big brands who lately have really made some mistakes. Shout out Cracker Barrel. Of like you got some. Go ahead.
I'm dead set. I told someone this as soon as it happened. I am dead set that I think it was all planned.
You would not have to twist my arm to make me convinced of that. Just to get them front page headlines, just to be in the news because they've kind of we're down here in the South. You're in Nashville, I'm in Birmingham, and I feel like there's a Cracker Barrel in every exit, and they could use some limelight. So now let's transition to shooting and golf and what that looks like. So current projects, what does a day in the life of Austin Peckham look like in terms of golf scheduling? How often do you get to play? I mean, one of the things I like to do when I have a guest on here is I pull up their gin and I want to see what they play to.
Okay.
And your handicap, I may have a spot for you and an upcoming member guest. I would love to have you on my team.
Yeah. Man, and that's my I tell people that's my dad handicap.
Okay.
That's my can't chip, can't putt handicap.
If that's your dad handicap, what was the handicap before you were a dad?
I think I got as high as a plus 2.8.
That is golfing your ball. That's impressive. That's impressive.
But I don't know if you've heard of Payne Denman. He made it to like the last 16 of the USAM, and then he won Tennessee State AM. He's an awesome dude. He was a assistant coach at Tennessee, and then just went to I think USF. But he's like a +7.
That's ridiculous.
Like just unbelievable. And he plays like it, so it's awesome. But yeah. I'm always down, man. Anytime.
So played high school, played college. Obviously, beautiful 2-year-old little girl now at home. How often are you getting to play?
It kind of goes in waves. So I'm really fortunate. One of my clients and also have become just organization has become a really good friend family is the Sanctuary Golf and Social Club. So it's a private indoor club. It's got, full food and beverage restaurant, very high end finishes everywhere, private golf, private TrackMan suites. It's just an unbelievable place. So I'm kind of working. I use that as my office a majority of days. So I'm hitting balls almost every day, maybe every other day. And I'm playing outside anywhere from like 1 to 3 times a week.
Dad golf, huh? Man, I got to figure out how to work that into my schedule.
But I still can't freaking chip, dude. That's the thing that goes, you have to practice it.
So how often?
And Joe Mayo lives right down the road, so I could just go see him.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad person to have down the road. What's dad life like?
It's Well, right now, since you asked me that question, right now it is so awesome. It is, um, I mean, firsthand, but like getting to be almost two. We have another baby coming in December.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thanks, man. Um, right now it is just so fun. I mean, she is hilarious. And the other day we were her and I were jumping on our bed, and like laid down. I started acting like I was asleep, and she came up to my face and she was like, "Hi, hi, 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 hi." And it was the first time that I was like, "Holy crap, you are a actual
Person.
human."
Yep.
And so it's still very, I mean, it's very hard, and it's hard and incredible and amazing and difficult and emotionally draining all at the same time. But right now is incredible. I will say, the adjustment from no kids to kid is is very easily the hardest thing that the two of us have ever done in our lives. I mean, it's just a completely different life, but once you kind of fully surrender to what life is now, it's one of the most beautiful things, and I can't wait to have another baby.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've got a 9-year-old. She's 9 going on. We'll call it 18. So brace for impact. You have my number whenever you need to call and be like, "Hey, what do I do?" She was this sweet little girl, and all of a sudden she is straight from the depths of hell, and I don't know what's happening. Just give me a call. Because it's
I
gonna
will.
happen. But no, they're the best, especially girl dads. It's the way to go. Going back to some professional stuff. One of the things I saw you did was it the Israel tour with CeCe Winans, Michael W.
Oh
Smith,
yeah, yeah.
and Stephen Curtis Chapman. Um, Having those three icons of Christian music in the room together, what was that like?
It was so cool. I mean, there was supposed to be, and I think maybe a couple things were ended up being on a teleprompter, but it was supposed to be this like well put together teleprompted thing, and they just basically just kind of wung it, and um, it was just so, these people, like, you have these entertainers who are giants in their industry, and it was just like, it was more charisma that I've seen in a room in my entire life, and it was just so cool to watch them talk and share their stories with each other, because they've all been doing it for a while.
Forever.
um
Yeah, and the fact that
for
Stephen Curtis Chapman has new music coming out. I'm like, I was listening to this guy when I was in 11th grade, 10th grade, which was, we don't need to talk about how far along or how long ago that was. But yeah, it's and CC does too. It's wild that they've got new music coming out.
Mhm.
New projects for you. What are things you're working on? What are things you wanting to do? What's in the pipeline right now in terms of photography? Well, and let me back up a little bit. Seems like everything is now, or mostly, is it mostly still photography work, or are you doing, I know you had a drone when you were with me at an event a few years ago, but
Mhm.
what have you found is your sweet spot, and what are future projects looking like?
So it's funny, when I decided that this was what I was going to do, and I was in the golf industry was where I was going to be, I told Emily, my wife, I said, I am never going to manage social media again. I don't like it. I've done it in the past. I don't want to do it. And um,
Which is
turns
a
out,
bold move to take to run your own business.
yeah.
Like
And
that.
I'm talking, yeah. And I'm primarily talking about myself for sure, but running organic social for clients. And it was something I said I wasn't going to do. Now it's probably 80% of Branded Golf's business is organic social content and social management. Um,
How about
and what's
that?
funny about it, I, but I love it. I love it so much, and it's the only thing I can think of is that it's because I'm doing it and working in a industry that I love. I understand. I get the culture of it. I know what I'm a consumer of the content, so I know what people want to see, and it doesn't feel like I think, when you're writing copy and captions and coming up with content ideas in an industry that you're not really passionate about, I think it comes across that way. So it's been really cool to see my desire to do that change, and it's really something that I've turned into loving. And like there's just started working with a new client a couple weeks ago, and we're already at like literally I think we're 2.5 weeks in, and we're at over 30,000 views on TikTok and over 45,000 on Instagram. And it's just because we know the space and we know what people want to see, and it's just been really fun.
So is that something that you found that people are coming to you now because they want you to do it, or are you seeking clients, calling golf clubs, public, private? What does that look like in terms of establishing that relationship and then getting it to where branded excuse me, where Branded Golf, your company, gets to the table with a contract? It's like, hey, let's rock and roll. I can do this. What does that look like?
Well, it's a good segue kind of into, I mentioned a while ago that the Glenn Campbell thing was crazy. Well, the first thing I ever did in the golf industry was the portraits for Hideki for TGL. So
Decent.
the first thing I ever did was shooting portraits of Hideki, and we actually did it at Travelers 2 years ago, and that same week shot a guy named Ben James. He's like I think top 5 amateurs, but he had just signed with Cobra Puma, so shot a thing with him. Then shot a thing with Ricky that same week. So I'm like, it's just unbelievable. The first thing, like literally my first week of shooting in the golf industry was that. And I think what it did was it just gave me instant, I had the past of production, and, I can share that stuff with people, but being able to show golf industry people, golf industry work, and have it be big names like that was an absolute launching pad for me. So then really, like, lately everything has just been organic, referral based stuff coming in, outside of one job recently that I was connected to through an agency that connects brands to other agencies. So that was something that I had to, bid on, write proposals for, have meetings, and won that job. But yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate. The stuff has just kind of come in organically, and that's really I'm really not a sales guy. I can sell myself if it's something that someone needs. But it's been really nice to just kind of be able to be myself and work with people that want to work with me.
That's awesome. So how many or I guess we'll call it relationships, does Branded Golf have right now that you're managing on a week in and week out basis?
So we have four monthly recurring retainer clients. Then
We
anywhere from
we love those monthly retainers.
I mean, that's what allows. It's really like people act like it's this one-sided thing where it's like, oh, retainers are so awesome for me because I make money every month and blah blah blah.
And you have to do work.
It is. It's awesome for the brands and the companies too, because they no longer have to think about hiring someone, which first off, it's cheaper than if they hired someone for the position, and they're getting a better service. And then they no longer have to like go out and find people or contract someone for every single thing they want to do. They just know that it's taken care of, and they know what that's going to cost them on a monthly basis. So it's like, to me, it's a no-brainer. If a brand or a company has revenue, it's a no-brainer to retain someone and just work that into your budget.
Yeah, contract it out instead of spending an arm and a leg to have somebody on the staff that you have to provide benefits to and all the things. And sometimes there's not enough work necessarily to justify having that high dollar individual on staff, when the perfect scenario is what you're doing right now with Branded, is that you can manage 4 clients, and that's probably a decent workload for you. And you're running all their socials and all that. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, man.
Are you
So on
enjoying
top,
it?
I love it. I mean, I'm in such a good spot, and on top of those, working with anywhere from 3 to 5 um, different one-off projects a month. This past month did a couple commercials with the Grove here in College Grove. There's, Tennessee Golf Foundation is doing a lot of stuff on a pretty regular basis that I've been grateful to be a part of. So yeah, I mean, there's the retainer stuff is awesome, and then being able to, to fill gaps with the one-off projects is really awesome.
That's fantastic. That is, I knew you had layers like an onion, but this has been fun just to hear all the different. You've lived quite a life, and are you even 30 yet? I don't think
31.
31. Okay. Okay. I was trying to do the math, and I'm not good at math. I went to Auburn. But you've been very, very gracious with your time, but we have a couple questions that I gotta throw at you before we let you get out of here. What is your favorite new course that you have played in 2025?
That's easy. It's Old Stone in Bowling Green.
Okay. Tell us about Old Stone. This is one I'm not familiar with. I might need to make a trip to Kentucky.
It is it's a private club. It is technically number 2 in Kentucky behind Valhalla. There's a lot of people that believe it's the number 1 golf course in Kentucky. I don't think that I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here of ever doing anything with either of them, but it's probably not possible for Valhalla to not be the number 1 golf course in Kentucky, politically and financially.
Sure.
So Valhalla is probably going to stay the number 1 golf course in Kentucky. But Old Stone, it was one of the most unique golf courses I've ever played. It starts in like on top of a hill, and just goes down into a valley by a river for like 6 holes on the front 9. And I mean, it is hard. I think the course rating was 77.8.
Yo. Okay. Goodness gracious.
So it's like 0.2 behind Bethpage.
And you tipped it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I shot we played twice. I shot 77, 74.
Wow. Okay, Old Stone. We'll have to check that one out. And if you need an in at Valhalla, we actually had a guest on a week or so ago who is incredibly connected at Valhalla. So if we need to soothe any frustrations with your comments, we can handle that. And if you need to go shoot photography at Valhalla, we can probably help with that too.
Yeah, man. And I need to play it.
What's your favorite club in the bag right now?
This is probably 3 months ago. I got the Strixon ZX something 3-iron. And dude, that thing, it's like 235 carry, rolls out to like 250, 255, and I can't do anything but hit it dead center of the fairway. I mean,
Wow.
It's like every single time I hit it, it's like a 3 or 4 yard draw. And it's been, I mean, truthfully, I haven't played enough rounds with it, but it's been this like missing link in my bag where, you come up to these 400-yard par 4s and you don't I don't know, maybe for whatever reason, you don't really feel comfortable hitting a driver, or you don't want to hit a 5-wood or a 3-wood or whatever. And it's just like the perfect way to get yourself in play.
How stiff is that shaft?
Extra.
I say it probably feels like a 2x4, doesn't it? What is your dream foursome?
Dream foursome would be Tiger. Well, it can be whatever I want.
Yeah, they don't have to be golfers.
It doesn't even have to make sense. So no. Tiger, Revel, my daughter, if she
great name
was grown up and could play golf.
Yeah.
Revel, Tiger. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Who was the big first baseman for the Phillies?
He's not Kruk? John Kruk?
No.
Well, I went way back on that one.
Yeah, you did. This is rewind like 6 years. Man, he was in Subway commercials. That's really disappointing that he was my favorite baseball.
Ryan
Ryan Howard.
Howard. Ryan Howard.
Okay. Thanks, Robbie. I had a complete brain fart. Okay, so
Appreciate producer
Tiger-
Robbie dropping in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiger, Revel, Ryan Howard, and
Well, you're the fourth.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good.
I mean, if you got another one and want to go as a fivesome, yeah, like I said, this is a rudderless ship. We can do whatever we want. So make it a fivesome. Who's your fourth and you're the fifth?
Probably I'm just going back to Philly and saying Donovan McNabb.
Okay.
I don't really have any super outside of like some sports people that I like. There's not really anybody that I would really want to play golf with outside of Tiger. If I had like that
we've
dream
had a
opportunity.
handful of Freddie couples in like back-to-back episodes of
Okay.
people saying Freddie, and I'm like, and it like the first one kind of blew me away. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it. And then we had another Freddie couples, and I was like, okay, is someone pulling a bit on me here? And I get it. I mean, Boom Boom would probably be a great hang, but it was just when you have three people to choose from, all walks of life, he's probably outside my top 100 if I have to think about it.
Great, teach you how to be cool,
right?
How to walk like you don't care.
Yes, exactly. That's
A lot
well
of life
said.
lessons.
Would you rather do sweep or hit up golden hour to play?
Man, there's nothing better than a 6:30 p.m. 9 holes into dark round of golf. Barefoot walk.
You're speaking my language. Like you like preach on, brother. That's where I fall on that question too.
Man, why would anybody ever want all that stuff on their freaking golf balls and their clubs? No.
You'd be surprised at how that question's been answered so far. And then go ahead.
Especially on like mornings, especially like any Bermuda green where they're like constantly putting at least a little bit of sand on them. I mean, it's just asking for very dirty golf balls.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you though. I want the sun setting, some tunes playing, no shoes. Yeah, let's rock. And then the last one, because it's the name of the podcast, do you hit it off the deck? And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. We've had people that were hesitant to say that they don't, but we have to ask that question. Do you hit it off the deck?
I don't understand I don't understand why anybody would ever do that. I can.
Well, if you have that 3-iron, why would you?
I can do it, and I have, like, just for shits and giggles. But like, okay, let's just say I'm a pro and I'm 270 out. Why am I? I just don't get. I don't get the play. It doesn't make any sense to me. Surely a statistician could tell us that it's not a good idea.
For sure. And we might go to Data Golf after this and see what that says. Austin, thank you so much for the time tonight. Really enjoyed conversation, learning all about the multiple lives you've already lived, just being a young lad at 31 years old. I am Josh Stecker, and this has been another episode of Off the Deck.
Thanks, brother.